Hey guys, it's Catherine. I just wanted to give you a brief overview of the project. I know we didn't get a chance to have focus this time and really kind of dig deep in the project, so I was just going to give you a couple of, um, just kind of give you a heads up on a couple things. So the first thing is your entry event is set up to expose the kids to some of the poetic devices that they're going to encounter in the book, even but we're going to be exploring them through the idea of music, and it gives you an opportunity to see where kids are with writing and have a little bit of a diagnostic. So the student handout links to an article that we have them read about music and how it affects our emotions, and that ties into the themes of the book. And we just have them respond to one of the prompts, and we ask them to use the word because. This isn't supposed to be like taking a huge amount of time and doing star questions and chunking and jotting and all that stuff. It's just kind of like getting the information and having just a reader's response to it. And then the second chunk is they listen to four songs that are actually mentioned in the book that have different feels and tempos and things. And so we ask them to, for each song, describe how does the music sound, how loud or quiet is it, and how fast or slow it might be. And then they kind of come up with words to describe the feeling of the song. I put words in a bank. Feel free to add more as a class if you like. So we've got Cha Cha Slide, which is linked here, Filthy McNasty, which is a jazz song. And this one is 10 minutes. The rest of the songs are about 3 to 4 minutes. So if you only want to listen to maybe the first 4 minutes of Filthy McNasty to keep it kind of even if you're doing station rotation or something, that's fine. I think they get the gist of it in the first 4 minutes. I would think. And then this also serves the purpose of giving them a little background knowledge. So when they encounter the mention of these songs in the book, they'll understand that when the coach uses Cha Cha Slide to kind of get the team pumped up before a game, what that might sound like. And then when the mom is singing Kumbaya, waiting, by the dad's hospital bed, what's the nature of that song? And, what's the emotional kind of connection there? You may want to have the kids come up with a song that they like and repeat the process and then do some kind of writing response as well, just for that personal relevance piece. You obviously don't have to, but they might like it. Okay, so then when we start to get into the checkpoint, excuse me, there are some things in here for your convenience. I linked a YouTube video that just reviews basic plot terms that are tied to the teak. So if you want to have a plot review, go for it. You have where it says first read, that links in each situation to a YouTube video that has the audio book and the graphic novel. So if you want kids to have access to that audio recording, that's there for you. And we'll keep it up there as long as it's still there on YouTube. And then you have for each section of the book a teacher slide deck and a student handout. Now, I know you've already read the book, but just a reminder that these aren't a series of warm ups. It's that the book is structured like a basketball game, and this section of the book is called warm up. And so on the teacher slide deck, we have just some of the stuff set up as far as structuring the instruction. And so each section of the teacher slide deck goes along with a section of the student handout. So we put some things in there. And you might notice, hold on, this is probably blocking it, but we put some of the answers in the notes of the slide deck. And so you're not going to want to push the slide deck out to kids because it does have some of the answers to the questions in the slide deck. So just to kind of give you that heads up. The student handouts are all structured the same way. We just included a plot diagram at the top of each one because we're reading a book. And so over the course of the book, we're at different parts of the plot. And so there's just a little review. You don't have to spend a whole week going over elements of plot. You can just kind of do it as you go along. This what happens section of each handout, we just are looking for a real basic, do you know what happened in the story? Because we can't analyze the meaning of something if we're not sure that we understand what actually happened in the story. So we're not looking for anything really extensive, but just basically you read this chunk of the book, what happened? If you want to do like a somebody wanted but so summary or something, that's totally fine. Who, what, when, where, why, how, that's fine too. If you just want to have them bullet point, like what were the things that occurred, that's also fine. It's not supposed to take like 2 class periods to do. It's just like, okay, we read it. We read 8 minutes of the book. What happened? Just jot it down so you don't forget. And then every section of the book, there's also an opportunity not to analyze, but just say, hey, can you identify these things? Do we know what the social setting is? Do we know where the story is taking place? Do we know approximately like what time in history, what time of day, that kind of thing? We're not trying to write short answers here or anything. It's just like, can they, in a very basic way, identify elements of setting? Same thing with characters. This isn't intended to take tons and tons of time. It's just in the section of the book, is there anything we can add to our understanding of this character? The answer may be no. We just kind of kept basically more or less the same characters. Sometimes you'll be able to jot something, sometimes you won't, and that's okay. Um, Conflict is the same. Is there any internal conflict that we notice? Is there any external conflict that we notice? We're just looking for a quick jot, not even having to be in complete sentences. You might want to jigsaw these parts. I mean, there's ways to make it more fun so we're not just kind of in a boring way filling out boxes. That's not the intention at all. Once you have a firm thought that the kids understood that chunk of the book, then what we're looking for is moving into analysis. And so the analysis is set up into 3 sections every time. We're going to have a word choice section where we look at the impact of word choice on the meaning. We're going to have a development section, and then we'll have something about poetry, usually around graphical elements. The graphical elements are really strong in the book. So for word choice, if you click that, it does take you to the Summit Learning cognitive skill for word choice and development. These are only just there to let you know these are the teaks we're thinking about in this section. They don't have to answer these 3 questions. It's just to remind you that that's how the teaks connect to the cognitive skill. The part that we would looking for the kids to do is these sections. So vivid verbs and awesome adjectives. And this does go along with the teacher slide deck, but we're writing the adjectives and verbs from a particular poem. And then what kind of mood does the word choice help create? And then over here, we're looking at a different poem, writing the verbs and adjectives. What kind of mood does this word choice help create? And so here we would be able to compare and contrast. Figurative language is kind of the same. It's very scaffolded at the beginning of the book, and it gets more and more independent as they move through the book as a whole and each section of the book. Again, development, we're just reminding you these are the things we're studying with development. And in this little analysis task, we're going to be looking at character qualities. And so we go to pages 8 and 9, reread that poem, go to page 10, reread that poem, and just see if we can answer those questions. And then we give them an opportunity to write. And so then with poetry, when we look at graphical elements, we always have the graphic organizer set up with those 4 things that we can consistently think about. And then we ask the kids to kind of just think about that and with these specific poems. So each section of the book has a student handout as well as a teacher slide deck that guides that learning. Additionally, we're targeting specific grammar skills in each section. And so there will be a separate grammar kind of activity that moves them through kind of first identifying in the book where the author used that grammatical structure. Then we kind of work through just identifying and then finally writing our own sentences that use that grammatical structure. And then in the common assessments or checkpoints, when you look at that, oh, I already had it up. That's okay. We're going to be assessed on development, word choice, and then the grammar, communicating accurately and precisely. And of course, it's taking a second, but the photo of the rubric is loading, and there it is. And then these activities in the common assessment are very similar to what they did in their work packet. And so we're just revising to include on a positive here, just like they did in the activity. So as long as, you're kind of guiding them through, then it'll slowly build. And then in the second checkpoint, it's just the second half of the book. We're doing the exact same things. And then that common assessment checkpoint is the same. So you can see development and you can see word choice. And here we color coded the student graphic organizer so they know that if they only do those 2 things, then they're going to kind of score below grade level. And then if they do those three things, they can score kind of in the middle, and then they're at grade level if they do all of those. And then if they get to the blue, then they're a little bit above grade level. And so it kind of goes along with that rubric. And that carries on into that final product where we actually color coded the rubric here so you can see for word choice. And then there's the color coding, and we ask them to do it for adjectives, verbs, and figurative language. And then for development, they're going to have to choose one of the prompts, and they'll be assessed on development and communicating accurately and precisely. And so that third checkpoint is them building their plan to write their essay. And so they're either going to answer, how does Chuck Bell's fear of doctors impact the plot? Or how does Josh's attitude about Miss Sweet Tea change over the course of the novel? And so they're going to be doing a little essay on that. So that's the first kind of part. And then the second is them writing their own story. And we said they could either come up with one from scratch and write a totally original story if that is what makes them happy, or if they want to retell the crossover, but just from the viewpoint of a different character, that's fine too. I'm not sure which one of those is harder. I think they're each difficult in their own way. And so, it's up to you as far as what options you want to put in front of the kids. But the checklist, as far as grading, is right there in the prompt. And so I just took everything from the rubric and then put it in a checklist form. So that would give you some clarity as far as what you're really looking for. And then it would make sure that kids were able to appropriately plan for that. And then there's all kinds of different activities as far as planning their story and incorporating certain structures and doing their characterization and coming up with their description of their setting and everything. And so the things that are not linked yet, we're still working on and linking in. And so I just kind of wanted to give you, hopefully this counts as brief overview, and we'll continue to kind of link some of these pieces out. We do have some more teacher slide decks and things in the works, and we'll be linking them out over the course of the next week or so. Keep us posted on what you need, and we'll do our best to make it great for you. So I appreciate everything. Stay in touch. Bye.